Hey everybody, how's it? Welcome back to my trilogy today of the Decomposer Lounge, doing 3 videos today. Kind of loaded up for the weekend, so you know, I drop a few at a time. It kind of backs up in the weekend. I'm not going to do any, so you know, maybe some of these marinade and stuff, you hang out, chill out at your own time, whether you're tailgating or whatever, and however you're watching this and chilling. Thought I'd drop it on Buckethead. Yes, the Buckethead. This is called Nottingham Lace. And of course I know who Buckethead is, only because of my deep interest in instrumental music that started in the 80s with people like Eric Johnson, Joe Satriani, Mark Bonilla, Buckethead, Steve Vai, you know. So, but I never dove really into his catalog as much as some of the other, as I find I should have. Also, there's the other incredibly talented guitar player, Paul Gilbert. And so this to me is a little closer, the Buckethead sound of instrumental, because more of the raw rock and roll, where defined now rock metal instrumentals are extremely powerful and very technical and very crisp and dynamic and incredible sounding arrangements, compositions, and engineering. So anyhow, without further ado, we will do my trilogy. Finish this off. I'm sorry, it's my last one for the day. So thank you so much for those of you who have supported me. You guys know that my channel's not monetized. The ads that run, copyright claims by the songwriters, the publishers, record companies, they make their money. I will have Buckethead merch and songs and Spotify link below. A link for the cup of coffee should you see fit to buy me a cup of coffee. And people still ask me about my headsets. These are, any of you old school recording engineers or artists and stuff, remember these old AKG 240s. They are just a workhorse. And also just right, like, what are they, like 50, 60 bucks or something, great partially opened ear cans. Anyhow, so let's do this. Buckethead, Nottingham Lace. All right. Okay, I'm only, about almost a minute and a half into a 6.5 minute track. And what I love about the power of what is going on here is it's giving you more than enough time to sink into a groove. And not a particular groove under one riff and stuff, because he's obviously going through some production changes in there. The engineering change when they just canned and squashed the drums there for maybe that 4 bars and stuff. But it's giving you time to really soak into the groove and just get yourself going on. One of the things that I always found is the challenge for instrumental musicians is that by virtue of their ability to play an instrument, there's times where I've listened to a lot of instrumental, it's fusion and progressive, be it metal or all kinds of music, and they front load a lot of their jam. They kind of front load the blow in the wad kind of a thing. And so far we haven't heard a lead thus far, and this is what I love about that. It's just getting right into the metal funk structure of the song. And space. I love the fact that they are using space. And I'm not talking space between notes, but the actual space between the notes as far as being quiet. The stop starts, You know, those kind of things are really super cool to set up that groove. So outside of me stopping, we were just in a really sick groove. So now I'm sure we're about to get a little taste of some lead here. All right. You know, the other thing is too that you know, a lot of times gets lost sometimes in really good instrumental music, and it really, you see, the thing is about instrumental music, it's really defining the spirit and the soul of the musician who is the instrumentalist in the album. Doesn't necessarily do this for a hooky reason, and you know, is this a radio cut of a song? It's because it's just hard in general to think inside the song confines or the song paradigm of what is marketable radio length music to get everything into it. Hence, 90% of all instrumental tracks are nice and long and whimsical and powerful and everything. That phrase just kept repeating. It's very, very hooky, and it's very clean, and it's very easy to just kind of rinse with, you know, very straight chugging going on. I want to go back to that other chugging that was going on a little earlier. That to me was like, of the time, some of the, you know, first, and I can't say because I'm not really that versed in, you know, except for that handful of instrumentalists that I kind of told you about at the beginning, how many other instrumentalists or metal bands or guitar players were, you know, drop D chugging or detuning guitar chugging. It definitely sounded like it was lower than your standard tuning. Is something that's kind of, I'm really trying to listen for, and I don't know if I'm hearing a definitive bass line in there. I don't know if it's buried within the chugging, and that's not a good or bad thing. It's kind of like when I listen to Animals as leaders, and I said, is there a bass there? What's going on? I don't know. That's why I ask. And obviously, first time listens, I don't do research and stuff like on the songs that I'm on. But the straightforward of this is, I also think it telegraphs the access of a great instrumental piece to the masses with the straightforward power of the bottom. Very square, very straightforward, drums and rhythmical setup, very, very, very much this, without complexity and stuff. And I think that emboldens the access of that kind of music to a much larger and wider audience that can't handle. I mean, because biometrically, I believe that we're set up, those of us who are set up to get into the heavy metric sounds of rhythmic ranges, counter rhythmic rearrangements and compositions and arrangements, melodic counterpoint and syncopations. I think there's a certain group of people that get into that naturally, and certain people, they just don't know how to work it out, so they just move on. Anyhow, that was a little more blah 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 than I should have gone on there, but here we go. I'm so stoked that they just did what they did on the breakaway on that, or just how they ended it. What they were playing. Sorry, it just sucks, but I don't know any other way to do it. Just to let you know, that was really cool, because that at least indicated what I was about to bring up, which was listen to the pattern of the simplicity yet the coolness of the arpeggiation that he's playing. Just in eighths, something of that nature, and that's just going and going and going and going. And of the days of where you would just take 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes of a repeatable phrase, and then just wail into a really simple, clean melody. And the other thing that I love about this, that just brings me back just into my soundtrack of life, is when I hear fret noise, when I hear hand sliding noise on the strings and stuff like that, when I hear the human element of powering up and speeding up and speeding down in and out of, powerful licks that we recognize that are, powerful metal rock licks from the days, all the way to the progressive, scale runs of people who really play really super fast, and You know, the human element of it, that it's not so perfectly quantized, so perfectly clean. It was just like, this was to me like a one-pass play. I wasn't at the recording studio. I don't know whether I did or didn't. And I also know him well enough in my experience of YouTube videos and stuff that more than capable to do this in one pass, because he plays live, you know. But it's just that feeling, the fret noise, the hand noise, the pick noise, you know, I wouldn't want to say misbend noises, but you know, he's reaching for it and he got there and he comes down and you could just hear the string responding to that more than just the note that he's bending. You know, I think a little more guitar players or musicians, instrumentalists, you know what I'm talking about, for the instruments you may play, you know, what those subtle nuances are any. So, and then of course, you know, Buckethead is absolutely legendary because of his, you know, his branding and the Buckethead and who is he, and I'm sure people have already maybe, you know, figured all that stuff out. I don't know him personally. I don't care. I love the allure of his image and his persona, and it's truthfully and powerfully set up behind his talent. So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for those of you who may have bought me a cup of coffee. Links for everything is going to be down below. Links for the headsets. I am done for the weekend. Have a killer weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. All right.